Hello, Integrity Doctors. I'm Dr. Doug Sullivan, one of your dream makers here, and I'm so excited to be with you for another live stream conference. I've got a great class for you today, and I'm excited about it. And I know I always say that, but it's because it's true. Today's class is interesting because it's a bunch of things in one. In one way, it's a new class. In another way, it's a review class. And in another way, it's a bit of an update class as well. You've probably noticed there's a lot of change going on here at Integrity recently with our new AI Clinic Assist program and all the possibilities that thing is opening up for us as we go. It's neat and exciting and maybe even a little scary too, right? And in fact, recently, we just moved our integrity system onto the AI Clinic Assist platform so that we can keep building on it from there. And, sky's the limit for what we can do with this. So success principle number 4, change, right? We're definitely leaning into that. But I wanted to make sure that even though there's lots of change going on, that we don't lose sight of the fact that there's still a foundational structure to the integrity system. And so I want us to remember that the more things change, at least in regards to our system, the more they stay the same. I have taught to you over the last several years worth of live stream conferences the various foundational pieces of the integrity system, but they've been wrapped into other conversations that we were having. So today I thought I'd pull it all together for you in one place and go through the 4 foundational pieces of our system: repetition, consistency, value, and simplicity. So let me start out by getting you thinking here. I have a question for you. Think about the last product or service that you adopted into your daily life. I'll bet you probably recognize at least one, but probably all of the products or services that I've got here on the screen. Starbucks coffee, or making an order on Amazon Prime. You get the thing the next day or 2 days later. Some of you probably have a Costco in your town where you can go and buy bulk groceries and save a ton of money when you go do it, right? My wife makes a Costco run every couple weeks. Apple products. How many of you have at least one Apple product out there? I mean, I'm actually wearing one on my wrist here today. But I wonder, with these familiar products, did you make the decision to start using Amazon Prime or buy your first cup of coffee ever at Starbucks or your first Apple product in one single moment of inspiration? Or was it more likely that there were a lot of factors that combined together, both conscious and unconscious, that made it easy to say yes to that first purchase? What I want to do today is walk through the journey of how a consumer, your patients, go from hearing about a concept to buying into it and staying loyal to the product, to the service over the long haul. And I want to explore those 4 strategies that we mentioned a moment ago: repetition, consistency, value, and simplicity, and how they play in to creating that loyal patient. These strategies, you guys, they're not just theories. They're not just something that we looked at Integrity and said, hey, we think this is right. We'll just build our systems around this. These strategies are actually principles that billion-dollar brands use to build customer loyalty. And again, I want to remember that word loyalty means to us retention. It keeps our patients. These principles of repetition and consistency and value and simplicity are baked into the integrity system in our patient education and in our report scripting and all the graphics that we use and the scheduling procedures and policies that we have, the over-the-counter and the phone call language that we teach you how to do. They're built into your office flow and how you move people from place to place and visit to visit. And they're built into the destination wellness follow-up system that we've developed through you, coming onto the AI Clinic Assist platform, and so much more. And the reason they're built into all of those things is because they are proven to work in the real world. My goal today is to show you why those systems are written the way they are with those pillars built into them. Your job is to leave this class today committed to following them exactly. Can we leave behind once and for all the reinventing of the process the way you want it to be, the ad-libbing that we all seem to want to do with the various scripts, not freelancing your process and cobbling it together in the way maybe you would like it to go? Because the way we've done it is proven in the real world. Let's launch right into the first foundational pillar, repetition. I taught this to you a while back in a class you might remember called The Secret Sauce of the Integrity System. We said repetition is key for your patients buying in to your message, to your product, and it's done through repetition of words and phrases and graphics and images and even people who are presenting all that repetition. See, we have to understand that at first introduction to a new concept, the biggest obstacle to your consumer is your own invisibility or their lack of understanding of what your message or your product is. See, I'll bet you answered when I asked you about, what it was that made that first decision to go on to Amazon Prime or buy that first Starbucks coffee. It probably wasn't just one thing, because people rarely act the first time they hear about something. Consumers make a commitment after lots of repetition, because repetition does a lot of things to the human mind. First off, when a message is being repeated over and over, it helps to put that message in top of mind awareness. That's the simple way that repetition works. But repetition also works in a much more complex manner on the human being to trigger deeply emotional and psychological responses of familiarity, of trust, of loyalty, of value. So if we could create a bit of a flow chart, if you will, repetition builds connection. Repetition builds that awareness, familiarity, trust, loyalty, and value. And those things combine to make your consumer feel more connected to you. You'll remember from a class I did a while back where we said, well, how much repetition is really needed anyway? And the truth is there's tons and tons and tons of professional literature written about this out there. But, I'm going to take you all the way back to a book written in 1885 called Successful Advertising, Its Secrets Explained. You might remember this. This is a little fun. Let's take a journey through it. We'll go a little faster than we did last time. But they said in the book, when someone first interacts with an ad the first time, they don't even see it. Even the fourth time, they still only have a fleeting sense that they've seen it somewhere before. It really isn't until the fifth time that they actually read the ad. It's the ninth time of seeing the ad before they really wonder if maybe they're missing out on something and maybe they should give it a try. It's the 10th time when they start asking their neighbors, hey, have you tried that thing? Have you done that service? It's the 12th time before they start really thinking that maybe this product being advertised is a good one. It's the 14th time they've read the ad that they start thinking to themselves, hey, I've wanted that thing for a long time. It's the 16th time they've read the ad that they accept the fact that someday, somewhere, they're going to buy that thing. They're going to get that service. It's not until the 20th time that they've read through the ad that they buy what's being offered. 20 times they've got to come in contact with and read that ad. Now, I know it would be easy to say, well, that's all well and good because that's advertising, but what does that have to do with retaining my patients in my practice? Well, there was a great Forbes ad out there, and this is actually where I named the previous class that I taught you called The Secret Sauce of the Integrity System. The Forbes ad is called The Secret Sauce of the Customer Journey. And in that article, it said today, and in fact, this article is about that book from 1885. The article says today we can just exchange the word ad for your message. But the steps that the customers take are the same 20 steps that our ancestors' customers took over 100 years ago. The number 20 isn't really as important as the summary of those steps. Repetition and persistence are what matters. No matter how many times we reinvent the customer journey, the steps haven't changed in over 100 years. Technology's changed, right? We've got the AI clinic assist in our own world now. How we deliver our message has evolved, but what it takes to bring a human being along your journey and engage with your brand story has not changed. Remember, on the other side of your customer journey plan, the integrity system that you're employing, is a human being. At our core, we humans don't change much over the centuries. The technology that delivers our messages and guides our tactics changes rapidly today, but the need for repetition in our message does not change. Let's look at it in the real world. I bet you recognize this ad I've got up on the screen here. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Now I'm going to ask you, how many times do you think you've heard that on TV and the radio and in your podcasts and everywhere else? Yeah, it's not even just 100 times. It's thousands of times. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. See, Geico has based their entire marketing strategy, their messaging strategy on repetition. They've been doing this since 1998. Let's look at another one. Here's a company that's been doing repetition for even longer. Try over 125 years. You know Coca-Cola, right? Even though it's one of the most recognizable brands out there, they still spend billions of dollars repeating their message on every billboard and every television commercial, on the vending machines, everywhere, so that they can stay in front of you so you can be connected with them. See, if we create this flow chart here and put the ads with it, you recognize that repetition, whether it be Coca-Cola or a Geico, builds your awareness. It makes you familiar with the product. Over time, it builds your trust, even if you don't actually like Coke or employ Geico for your insurance, right? It establishes a level of value in the company, and that creates a connection with their customers. Let's look at repetition in our system. We have to realize, you guys, patients don't commit to you on the very first day they come in the door. They come in scared, they come in skeptical, they come in uncertain. You've got to build a connection with them. That's why our scripts repeat the same message over and over and over. You know it. It's the heal, prevent, future performance message. And what's interesting, especially with the addition of our destination wellness program that does follow up through the AI Clinic Assist program in between visits to your office, a 20-visit treatment plan now puts that heal, prevent, future performance message in front of your patients more than 40 times across video and digital print and emails and spoken words. But see, if you go ad-lib the scripts, if you go change things up, you break the system. See, we got to stick to the system and apply this same principle that built such strong customer connection and loyalty with Geico and with Coke. Repetition was an important piece of that. Let's look at another one. A second foundation of the integrity system. You know this one as well. Consistency. Consistency is the twin sister of repetition. Without consistency, you guys, repetition just backfires. If the words that you're repeating keep changing, if the visuals shift, if the tone from one team member to another changes, from one visit to another or one report to another, your patients feel confusion. And when your patients feel confusion, that's uncomfortable. See, it doesn't matter how well connected they are to your message through repetition. If they're uncomfortable with the experience that they're having with you, that's a non-starter. They won't stay with you. Consistency of a message produces comfort, and comfort works emotionally and psychologically to support awareness in your patient, to support familiarity, to support trust and loyalty and perceived value. I wonder if those things sound familiar to you. If we made a flow chart out of consistency, consistency makes your consumer comfortable. And when your consumer's comfortable, that makes them more aware of the messaging, familiar with the messaging. They trust you more, they feel more loyal, and they have more perceived value. Let's go back to the real world on this again. Why do people line up every morning for that $8 latte anyway? Do you think they do it for the caffeine? Now, they can get caffeine anywhere. They can go to the corner marketplace and get the cheap coffee that's been cooking on the cooker for 3 hours, right? No, they go for more than just the caffeine. They go for the comfort of the experience in Starbucks. Whoops, let's go back to that again. No matter where you are in the world, the moment you walk into a Starbucks, it feels the same, doesn't it? The cup, the menu, the music, the smell. That consistency creates comfort. And when people are comfortable, they trust the experience. And because they trust the experience, they come back again and again and again. Starbucks has built a loyalty, everybody, not on coffee. In fact, I'd venture that Starbucks coffee isn't even the best out there, but blasphemy. They've built a loyalty on the comfort of their consistency and how they present it. Let's look at another one I'll bet you know. You know these guys, don't you? Apple. When you buy an Apple product, it always feels familiar, doesn't it? The design, the simplicity, the way the icons look. That consistency creates comfort. Consumers know exactly what they're getting, whether it's a phone or whether it's actually just an adapter. I mean, the boxes all look the same, right? The messaging looks the same. The structure of it all looks the same. They know what they're getting. Pardon me. And they know how to use it. They're never overwhelmed by technical jargon. They're never lost in a maze of options. The messaging is always consistent from Apple. And that comfort's what's created one of the most loyal consumer bases in the world. People don't just buy Apple once. They stay with Apple. And they buy again and again, and they upgrade, and they tell their friends. And it's not because Apple's the only technology company. In fact, it's not even because they're the best. There are probably some better products out there technology-wise. But it's because they deliver the same consistent, comfortable experience and messaging across every product, whether it's a phone or an adapter. It's comfortable. And they do it every single time. Let's look at consistency in one more place. You know these guys, right? They've been around over 100 years. We talked about Coca-Cola a minute ago. And in fact, you know, even if we took away the scripted Coca-Cola writing, just the consistency of the red background and the white wave is enough for you to know who they are. The main product in Coca-Cola has used this red background and this white wave for over 125 years, as I told you a moment ago. Repetition, right? But you know what? Even the billion-dollar companies mess up. Back in 2011, for the first time in 125 years, Coca-Cola changed their iconic red cans to white. Yes, they did. And you know what? Didn't go well. 6 weeks later, they were pulling those white cans off the market and putting the red ones back because they'd lost millions in dollars of sales. Didn't change the product. Didn't change the can size. They just changed the color. And People stopped buying. They became uncomfortable with the presentation. Coca-Cola broke the consistency. Our system here at Integrity gives you exact scripts, gives you exact graphics, scheduling procedures, language procedures to ensure that the message is identical at every single touch point that you have with your patients. But you're human. I get it. I understand it. You're going to be so tempted to change it. You're going to get tired of the messaging. You get tired of repeating yourself and showing the same pictures and all that stuff. Don't do it. Don't design your own graphics. Don't come up with your own scripting. Don't improvise. See, when you're consistent, it eliminates the confusion in your message, and this makes your patients more comfortable in your experience. And when they're comfortable, that supports their awareness of your message, their familiarity with you, their trust in you, their loyalty, their value. Does this sound and look familiar? A lot of similarities going on there between what happens with repetition and consistency, isn't there? In fact, we could even change our flow here a little bit and do it this way instead, right? Repetition creates awareness, familiarity, trust, loyalty, value, and so does consistency via comfort, all in the name of producing and strengthening that connection with you, with chiropractic, with the outcome. So let's build a model. Look something like this. Repetition and consistency support awareness, familiarity, trust, loyalty, propose value to get a connection with your consumer. So let's go to the third pillar for the foundation of integrity, of the integrity system, and that's value. Consumers don't stay loyal just because they trusted you once. They stay because they continually perceive value in what they're getting from you. And I want you to understand something. I want you to be very clear on something. Value isn't about doing more things, adding more services, more visits. It's about revealing more about the service that you gave them when they first came to you. See, most of our patients start with us because they had some sort of pain, right? They came in to see us most of the time because they were seeking pain relief. Now, they initially stay with you because you create a connection enough that they think, okay, I can get out of pain. And you did that by starting right away with repetition and consistency of a message going in that direction. But see, as they stay with you, they start to hear more of that message. You help them see that that adjustment not only decreases their pain, but can improve their mobility, can increase their balance, can give them more energy, better sleep, long-term performance. Now, the adjustment didn't change. I would even say the messaging doesn't really change. You start with that messaging from the very beginning. But what does change is their understanding over time about what the adjustment can do. They build value. See, as you make that connection, they begin to open up and hear more of what your messaging is. So when you make a connection with your patient through your initial messaging, it increases their understanding of what you do over time because it reveals more about who you are. They hear more, and that gives them more perceived value of you, of chiropractic. Let's look at this in the real world too so we can understand it. Most of you know this company, right? Amazon. In fact, I'll bet almost every one of you here have an Amazon Prime account. Am I right? Most people sign up for Amazon Prime because they can get the free shipping that goes along with it. I know that's why my household originally signed on years ago. But what you discover over time is there's a whole lot more going on there. Prime saves you time. You don't have to go out and go to the store to buy that thing. If you're willing to wait till tomorrow or the next day, it'll be in the mail. It reduces the stress of having to go deal with stuff and shopping and all that stuff. It simplifies daily life. See, the real value in Amazon Prime wasn't the shipping, that was just the start. It's the convenience and the freedom and all the things that it brings to you afterwards. Here's the parallel to us here in chiropractic. Your patients come in for pain relief, but as they stay with you and you reveal more to them with the connection you make over time, they see that the adjustments can help them move better, sleep better, live better. Again, the adjustment hasn't changed, but their perceived value of it has. Let's go back to the real world again. Let's talk about Apple again. Most people bought their first iPhone because they needed a phone, right? I mean, if you can go back that far and remember, the first time you got it, I need the phone. But once they got the phone, they quickly realized it was also a camera and a map and a music player and a creative tool and a connection to others. It was so much more. The device didn't change. It's still a phone. What changed was what people understood about what that phone could do. Again, to the parallel, your patients arrive seeking relief for back or neck pain, but with increasing connection to the chiropractic message, you guys, they discover the adjustment does all these other things for them. Same adjustment, more revealed value. Okay? Here's the lesson. Patients don't stay because you keep adding services to them. They stay because you help them see that the service you already provide, the adjustment, touches more of their life than they ever realized. Value isn't about doing more, it's about revealing more. Our integrity system is designed to make that revelation clear. Through repeating consistent scripts and graphics and conversations that connect with the patient, to move them beyond the pain mindset and into the lifestyle mindset. So let's make a flow chart. Connection increases understanding and reveals more about the product, so the patient's value goes ever higher, as we saw there with Amazon and with Apple. So let's bring back the flow chart we made for ourselves, right? Here's the repetition and consistency that results ultimately in connection. Well, we get this little circle that starts going on down here too. As the connection is established, that helps open them up to reveal more about what chiropractic adjustments are. And that strengthens the value, which increases the connection, which increases understanding and reveals more, and round we go. See, all the while we're feeding in the repetition and consistency too. See it? And then there's the fourth pillar. Simplicity. Simplicity is the fourth pillar of the foundation of the integrity system. And simplicity isn't as simple as you think. I taught this to you in a class a while back as well, but let's bring it forward again and apply it here. From an article in aamc.org called Say Again, Teaching Physicians About Plain Language. You may remember I told you in the US, 36% of adults have only basic or below basic health literacy. These are levels that are considered inadequate for understanding information routinely encountered in a healthcare setting. And beyond that 36%, even more people with intermediate health literacy may not understand more complex health information. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says traditionally low health literacy was viewed as a communication deficiency among patients. Yeah, there we go. Let's blame it on our consumers. It's got to be their fault. They're the dumb ones. Now we're beginning to view it as our failure to deliver usable information to our patients. A critical component of improving health literacy begins with making doctors and doctors' teams aware that words familiar to them aren't always understood by the patient. It's our own language, you guys. We've got to be very careful that we're speaking to our patients, and not in chiropractic jargon, but in regular everyday words. And you say, well, we do that really well. We don't use any jargon. Are you sure? Because, words like vertebrae aren't used every day, or subluxation, or radiculopathy or degeneration. There's scary words too, like examination and arthritis and chronic and those kinds of things. See, we actually use a lot of words that don't have everyday application to most of the people that we see. But we're so used to them that we flow right through them and not realize our patients don't understand what it is that we're saying to them. Let's look at this in the real world for a minute. Let's go to another company I know you all recognize, Nike. Have you ever seen Nike have full-blown television commercials about EVA midsoles and rubber compounds and biomechanical studies that they put in the ads and on TV? Hardly. They bring it down to real simple terms. Just do it. And then they build from there on a lifestyle, not on the technology, not on the fancy stuff that goes into the making of the shoes. How about this one? Southwest Airlines. Now, I know the whole bags fly free thing is unfortunately gone by the wayside, but they did this for many, many years. But see, they didn't come on a commercial and say ancillary baggage fees waived on first and second checked items. No, they said bags fly free, right? Clear, memorable, consumer first, getting rid of all the technical jargon. Let's do another one. Apple's always a good one to look at. What does Apple sell? Well, technically they sell processors and RAM and all the computer stuff that goes with it, but that's not what they say. For many, 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 many years, Apple's had a slogan that says, think different. Again, they connect it to lifestyle. They connect it to outcome, not a spec sheet, not the technicalities, not the fancy words. Here at Integrity, our scripts are written to eliminate those big fancy medical jargon words. They're written in a plain language, essentially 6th grade level. Our graphics explain concepts with visuals that your patients have already seen and already know in real-world experience. We use real-world analogies too that they've already had experience with. Following these scripts, using these graphics, keeps your messaging simple. And simple for you is powerful because simple sticks, right? Just do it. Bags fly free. Think differently, right? Patients can repeat simple. Patients can share simple. Patients can live simple. So let's put it together now in the flow chart that we've been making. Repetition and consistency of simple language, simple graphics, simple visuals, simple analogies creates awareness and familiarity and trust and loyalty and perceived value in your patients. And that develops a connection between you and them that opens them up to hearing your message even more, to revealing even more about what the chiropractic adjustment can do, which even further supports perceived value, which creates connection, and round we go. So let's simplify our own flowchart. Simplicity with your repetition and consistency creates value, which creates connection, which further feeds value. It's how the entire Integrity system is built. And it's built on proven, real-world companies doing the same thing in billion-dollar industries. So if it's good for them, you guys, it's good for us too. And there's the foundation of the Integrity system. Thanks so much for letting me be part of your day today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy each other as a team. Until next time, see you later.